Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, I'm going to give an update on this tree form Hydrangea paniculata project that I've been working on the last couple of seasons. This was a Hydrangea paniculata that Dr. Durr gave us down in Athens, Georgia a couple of years ago. And it was just a multi-trunked little typical Hydrangea paniculata that you would get. But one of them was pretty straight, and we've turned it into a tree form. And I've talked about in the videos that I'm pretty much in full control of how this thing is ultimately going to look. And then we're going to start another tree form on a Chinese snowball viburnum on the other side of the garden. Coming out of winter, it's waking up, and I'm trying to get divisions of 3 everywhere. So when I initially cut this tree off down here and then cleaned up the bottom of it, I immediately got 1, 2, 3 uprights that were going. I think I may have gotten more than that, but I kept the 3 that were going at a slight upward angle away from one another. So these 3 became kind of the base of the first division of the tree. Later that year, I cut off just about 18 inches above that. I cut the 3 branches off, and then I got, again, divisions of 1, 2, 3, and divisions of 1, 2, 3, and back here, just 2, but I have a third one coming now. Then last year, I cut it up here at the top, and now I have this one dividing into 3. You see this? This one is divided into 3. This one is divided into 4, so we'll probably take one of those off, and so on and so forth. So each of these, every single time I keep 3. I'll get sometimes 3, sometimes 5. But I cut them back down to 3, and I make sure that they're the 3 that I want going in the direction that I want them to go. I actually want this thing to get a little taller before I allow it to spread out. Eventually I'll let it to spread out and look like a tree, but I want to continue to be able to walk under it right through this area. And so I'm keeping very vertical branching right now. You see that? They're angled out, but they're angled mostly up. Eventually I'll keep something like this that's going, at a 90-degree angle from the tree will be fine. But in the meantime, I want to get it a little higher before I let it spread out. These were the spent pieces up here from last year's flowers. These Hydrangea paniculatas, like Limelight is one, White Wedding is one, lots of Hydrangea paniculatas, varieties or cultivars in the world. They bloom on new wood. So every single one of these ends this year will bloom. So I'm not going to cut any of these new pieces. I'm just going to clean up last year's stem from where it flowered. Okay, that's quick and easy. And then I'm just going to go through and select. This is just the old flower stems, and then I'll go through and determine. So this one has 3 coming, but this one is at a weird angle right here, and it's low. I'm 6 feet tall. I want everything that comes at a 90-degree angle off the side to be above 6 feet. So I'm actually going to take this one off. There's another one coming behind it back here that I'll let grow. Anything that's trying to come on the trunk lower down, I'll clean those off. Anything that's heading back to the middle of the plant. So this one, you got this branch forming on this one, and it's heading right back through the middle. So it's going to cross with something, and it's going to rub on it eventually. So we'll go ahead and take that off. Another one right there doing the same thing. And then out here on this end, I'll clean off last year's flower stalk, and I've got 3 pieces. They're all going at a pretty good angle up, so I'm going to leave those. Another one on this back stem, which will be hard to see. There's a piece going sideways. Look how it's coming out of this branch, and it's going sideways. It's just going to go right across this other branch. You can see what's going to happen in the future. You can go ahead and get rid of that. This is my 3rd piece. When I originally cut this, I only got 2 to come out. Now I'm getting a 3rd one, so we'll leave that. It's going at the right angle. We'll just clean up the stem. Excuse me. The 3 that are left up here are perfectly fine. Here's one that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to take the one definitely that's going back toward the middle off of it. Okay, and then here's another. This one also is going back toward the middle right there. So that's the 3 I'm leaving. They're not affecting anything else in the tree. They'll get plenty of light down in here. Every one of these is going to have a big flower cluster on the top of it later this summer. And then this one in the back, I've just got a spot along the stem where it was coming, and there's 3 on it, very vigorous. And I think that's it. There's one more flower spike right here to clean up. Oh no, this one right here has 4 as well, and one of them's heading right back into the middle of the tree. So I'm gonna take it off, and that leaves 3 on it. So everything is down to 3, I think. Yeah, it looks like. And they're all heading different directions from one another. So one of the things I'm trying to make clear in this tree forming of this Hydrangea paniculata is I'm in full control of it. It's just flushing out from its winter sleep right now. So you're not seeing a whole lot of green on it, but this thing's gonna grow this much this season. And so these will be out this far. Flowers will be quite a bit higher than they are right now by midsummer. I've got it staked straight with a, firmly in place. One thing you're always going to get when you're pruning the top of any shrub, down at the bottom, you're gonna get suckering. And so I gotta go through occasionally and clean these suckers up. This was 2 hydrangeas in the pot, and they were tied together. I think this is the other one trying to come up. There you go. That's it. I'm in full control of this whole operation. It doesn't look great right this second, but in a month and a half, it will be 3 foot taller than it is right now, 2 to 3 foot taller than it is right now. And a month after that, it'll be in full bloom the rest of the summer. So if you're following along with the channel, you can see that. Let's take a look at the new one. The main reason we tree form things in this garden, we've got a vitex that we tree formed in the fall, is it's a very small urban lot. And we have a lot, this is kind of a collector's garden. There's a lot of things here, and we always are picking up new plants, and people are giving us plants, and we're exchanging plants, and we find something new we want out here. If I just let that hydrangea grow as a shrub down to the bottom, it's gonna take up all the ground space as well. Same thing with that vitex, same thing with this Chinese snowball viburnum. So I'm gonna turn it into a tree, and then we'll be able to plant perennials, which we have. There's salvia coming back down here. Perennial things coming back around it. There's dahlias that grow behind it back here. So I'm gonna turn this one into a tree form. We pruned it in a video just a few days ago. I pruned some pieces off that were going into the path. This thing was a little 1-gallon container, and I wish I'd have started the tree form then, because it would have been super, super easy. I've let it grow for a season and a half, and now it's just all over the place. But I do have one very vertical piece that I can stake straight, and that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna clean up everything down below this, and then I'm just going to cut this thing off and put and stake it up. So anything that's down below, okay, there's a branch coming off the side. Right there, you see it? Okay, we're just gonna take that off. Any of this low material, you gotta be careful, make sure you're tracking back to where you wanna cut so that you're not cutting something you don't wanna cut. Everything's repairable, but if I cut the thing down to a foot tall, I'd be waiting a while. These are cuts I made the other day when I was pruning in a pruning video and didn't clean them up. So, okay. And then there's another big branch that comes off down here that I'm gonna take off as well. I may need a saw to saw this big piece further down. Okay, this trunk, this is eventually gonna be the trunk, like a trunk of a tree. Right now it's growing like a shrub would with all the growth along the edge of it. I'm just gonna go and clean this up. This thing's gonna have an off-centered trunk, meaning that it's not straight up. It comes up and then it divides, and I'm taking one that's offset from the trunk as the leader. It'll be fine eventually. It's not, again, I should have done this when it was very small, and then that wouldn't have been an issue, but it is now. We're gonna just clean this all up, right down to the ground pretty much. See what I meant by an offset trunk? I need to saw that piece off. I may not do it right this second. All right. It'll eventually look fairly normal in the future. Nobody's gonna pay attention to that part anyway. It's not gonna hurt the tree. But see, I'm just taking off everything that I want to be exposed to trunk, cleaning it up. using extra sharp tools for this. This branch, okay, right there, is not a bad branch really, but it's so low. I'd really like to get the branching on this thing up about this high. So knowing that it'll eventually come off, I'm just gonna go ahead and take it off now. And take that one off and that one off, and I think that'll be at the end of that. I'm gonna come up here. I would like, when I'm doing a tree form like this, I'd like to get the branching in 2s or 3s. So when I cut this off, I'd love to get pick 3 branches that will come up, and then I'll cut those and hopefully turn those into 3 branches going up, just like I did on the hydrangea that you just saw. So I'm gonna come back down here, cut it about this high. That's about the height that I'd like to get everything going out in. I'll see which, we'll come back in a month or so, see what's the most vigorous thing up here, and I'll cut it down to 3 at that point, and then I'll cut the tips on the 3 vigorous ones I'm keeping, and that should divide it into 3 as well. This all looks mean, but it will be totally and completely fine. I'm gonna use this stake for now. Doesn't cause a lot of damage to the roots when I put it in. I'm gonna grab something to tie this off with as straight as I can. I'm gonna go ahead and saw this side piece off, the other upright piece. Just being careful to make a clean cut here. Maybe I won't keep that. Okay. All right, there's another one right there. All right. So let's get this staked up. I've just got some basic zip ties here. I'll come back and move these zip ties occasionally because they're not the best thing to use for this type of thing, but I need something super secure right now because it's fighting a bit. I've been about a month. I'll replace them in a new spot, but I'm gonna be pretty aggressive about getting this thing straight. The quicker the better. Once I've got it staked completely straight, it'll stand up on its own like the other one's doing over there. I've got a stake next to it, but it really doesn't need it anymore. It's more to keep the tree standing, a whole tree standing, rather than keeping the actual trunk straight. Okay, there you go. I think that thing's perfectly straight now. It's going to have character down here at the bottom where it's off to the side like this, but I kind of like it. I could probably be a little bit more aggressive here and try to straighten some of this out, but I think it'll be fine ultimately. All of this will thicken up and it'll look more normal over time, but it'll also it'll have a lot of character on it in the future. There you go. Just gonna wait. Now it's a waiting game, right? I'm gonna see what 3 of these become the most vigorous. I'll snip the ends of those off, clean up the rest of whatever I'm not keeping, and then next year we'll cut it again up high just like we did on that hydrangea. And this thing will be blooming in about 3 years or 4 years. It'll be, blooming with those giant snowball viburnum inflorescences up above everything else out here in the garden. So thank you guys for following along. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and you can see in tour videos how these tree formed shrubs are coming together in the garden. Thanks for watching.